100 Things Successful Leaders Do. Little Lessons in Leadership. Nigel, Cumberland. This book is dedicated to my son, Zeb, my stepdaughter, Yasmin, and to all those wishing to become outstanding leaders. May each of you find your own unique paths to leadership success. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more and become more, you are a leader. John Quincy Adams. About the author. Nigel Cumberland is the co-founder of the Silk Road Partnership, a leading global provider of executive coaching and leadership training solutions to some of the world's leading organizations. He has lived and worked in locations as diverse as Hong Kong, Glasgow, Budapest, Santiago, Guatemala City, Kuala Lumpur, London and Shanghai, gaining experiences and wisdom that have helped teach him what it takes to succeed in life. Previously, Nigel worked as a multinational finance director with Coates plc, as well as for some of the world's leading recruitment firms including Adecco. He is a fellow of the UK's Chartered Institute of Management Accountants. He created an award-winning recruitment firm based in Hong Kong and China, which he later sold to Hayes plc. Educated at Cambridge University, UK. Nigel is an extensively qualified executive coach and leadership training professional. He is the author of a large number of self-help and leadership books. Among the most recent of which are 100 Things Millionaires Do. Little Lessons in Creating Wealth, Nicholas Brealey Publishing, 2019. The Ultimate Management Book, John Murray Learning, 2018. 100 Things Successful People Do. Little Exercises for Successful Living, John Murray Learning, 2016. Secrets of Success at Work. 50 Techniques to Excel. Hodder and Stoughton, 2014. Finding and Hiring Talent in a Week. John Murray Learning, 2016. And Leading Teams in a Week. John Murray Learning, 2016. Nigel is married to a wonderful woman named Evelyn, who spends her time as an artist. He has 2 inspiring children, a son, Zeb, and a stepdaughter, Yasmin. Introduction. Everything you have thought, done and said in your life has prepared you to become the leader you are today. Are you ready to kickstart your leadership journey? Well done. You have picked up the perfect book to serve as your guide. This book will help you master the key habits, skills and behaviors to enable you to excel in whatever types of leadership roles you take on. Leadership comes in all shapes and sizes, from leading a voluntary group in the evenings, managing a children's sports team at weekends, or heading a large and busy family, to taking on a managerial or supervisory role for the first time, launching your own startup business with only yourself to manage, or as CEO of one of the world's largest corporations. It doesn't matter how little or large, how trivial or important. Leadership is leadership. The art of inspiring, organizing and motivating your kids at home is not a million miles away from successfully being a board chairperson of one of the largest listed groups in the world. It's so fantastic that you're reading this book and that you want to strengthen your leadership knowledge and capabilities. The world is awaiting you to turn into the most amazing leader you're capable of. The need for better leadership is everywhere. Governments struggle to find focus, to lead not just their communities and countries, but also themselves. So many political leaders struggle to even complete their full terms of office. Companies of all sizes are facing so much disruption, complexity and competition that their management teams are stretched to perform well. Sports teams struggle to find consistency, with so many teams churning through coaches and trainers. Public sectors are challenged in part by a lack of funds to cope with issues such as weak schooling systems and hospitals at breaking point. Scandals remind us of weak leadership in our own communities, from the church in crisis through to family units breaking up. When you think of a successful leader, who comes to mind? Perhaps it's those in very visible, formal and often very large leadership roles such as Sir Richard Branson or Donald Trump. Perhaps you're inspired by those in smaller but still crucial roles such as your boss, former head teacher, head of your local council, your MP or congresswoman, your business partner or spouse. The 100 lessons in this book are designed to turn you into the type of leader that others will admire and want to learn from too. I've coached hundreds of leaders working in organizations as diverse as the United Nations, World Bank Group, global banks and multinationals through to local tech startups, governments, schools and NGOs such as Teach for India. I've heard every leadership aspiration and dream you can imagine. I've listened to all the challenges and difficulties you'll likely face when taking on a leadership role. The main lesson I have picked up is a simple one. Too many people fail to work on all aspects of their leadership toolbox, leaving them with underutilized skills and strengths, while hanging on to weaknesses which hold them back. Not you. Working through this book is your opportunity to sit down and think about yourself, giving you time to ask yourself how you want to develop and grow as a leader, to create followers and future leaders, and to explore how you want to be remembered by those you have led. Treat this book as your trusted companion. Through 100 short chapters, you'll learn to make sense of the pieces you need to slot together to achieve your leadership ambitions. You'll explore what leadership means to you through topics including self-leadership, your motivations, leadership styles, leadership mindsets and behaviors, thinking and communicating as a leader, motivating and inspiring followers, dealing with leadership challenges, leading through change, creating leaders and handing over. How to use this book. Every chapter in this book features a new idea that will help you get closer to your goals. In each chapter, the ideas are introduced and explained on the first page, and the second page features exercises and activities, some small and some large, for you to start doing today. Don't overlook the activities. The tasks you've been set have been specifically designed to give you the optimal mindset, habits, skills, relationships and behaviors needed to maximize your chances of leadership success. Some of them will surprise you, some will challenge you, others will seem simple and obvious. All of them are important in building the portfolio of skills you need to become a talented leader. Completing them will set you on the path to developing a leadership mindset and a leader-focused, to-do list. These things aren't easy to achieve, and few people are willing to invest the required time and effort. Successful leaders do. Who am I to talk about successful leaders? This book draws on the wisdom I have gained from coaching and mentoring leaders from all over the world for the past 20 years. From global CEOs to struggling entrepreneurs, through to leaders in the public sector and charities to first-time managers just starting out on their leadership careers. All of them have something to share about the journey of becoming an outstanding leader. Their experiences combine with my own wisdom gained through some incredibly personal leadership highs and lows. 1. Understand your motivations. Some people spend their entire lives looking to be leaders. For others, leadership is thrust on them even when it's the last thing they're looking. 4. Think about a time you've accepted leadership responsibility. What made you agree to it, and would you be willing to take on that responsibility again? Chances are you accepted the role because of a combination of reasons, some of which come from within you, pushing you to put your hand up to lead, some of which come from external factors, like the situations you face or pressure from other people, pulling you to take charge. When coaching experienced leaders, I ask them why they became leaders, and many of their replies will resonate with you. Reasons pushing you, reasons pulling you. I like to take charge. I hate passively doing nothing. I don't enjoy being led by others. Somebody had to do it. I wanted a higher salary, so accepted the leadership opportunity. As an eldest sibling, I have always been a leader. Nobody else was leading the project, so I stepped in. My senior colleagues pleaded with me to apply for the vacant management position. As a woman, I was encouraged to take on the role as part of a gender diversity drive. I was under a lot of peer pressure. I had no choice, as I was the only. I can't stand taking orders. I love helping other people. I want to make changes and felt this was possible through leading. Suitable person. I wanted to say no, but was afraid to turn down the promotion. To be a successful leader, you have to understand why you've taken on leadership responsibilities. You may not like the reasons. It might have been all pull and no push, but by properly understanding your motivations, you can more successfully decide how you'll take on and excel in a leadership role. Put it into action. Are you a natural leader or follower? Either way, you may need to adjust your natural instincts to get the best out of yourself. Control the obsessive need to lead. The things that push you to want to lead are your internal drivers made up of your personality, ego, motivations and inner needs. If you always feel compelled to take the lead, It can indicate that you're an ambitious person who will always step up when the opportunity arises, but it's not always a good thing. This impulse can lead you to take on leadership responsibilities before you're ready or capable. You risk failing simply because you weren't willing to wait until you had more experience. Overcome the reluctance to lead. You may face the opposite problem and have no wish to lead and no inclination to stand out. That's fine as long as you manage to avoid leadership roles, but a big problem when you have responsibility thrust on you. It's never a good idea to wait until you've been pushed into the swimming pool before learning to swim, so take the opportunity to read up on topics that you're not so comfortable with in advance, and make a mental decision to be more assertive in overcoming your worries. Don't be bullied into accepting roles. Even the best leaders say no to new tasks and responsibilities now and again. For sure, there can be persuasive pull factors involved, but never be afraid to upset other people who are pushing you. Decide whether you feel ready and whether you want the additional responsibilities and accompanying recognition before accepting anything. 2. Know yourself. It can be uncomfortable looking deeply at yourself in the mirror, reflecting and acting on what's staring back at you. Understanding who you are is the first step to being able to lead others. This connection between knowing yourself and leading others is based upon what I refer to as 4 truths. 1. To truly understand another human being, you must first know yourself. 2. To successfully lead someone, you must understand who they are and what drives them. 3. Leadership ability is built on a foundation of being able to lead yourself. 4. Successful self-leadership is only possible when you understand yourself. These 4 connections are shown visually below. This chapter focuses on the first of these, with later chapters exploring the other 3. We all think we know ourselves well, but few people truly do. I work with many people and rarely meet anyone who fully understands all of their own strengths, weaknesses, habits, needs, drivers, desires, motivations and values, or their personality traits, feelings, emotions, biases, patterns of behavior and thinking. Some people have no desire to acknowledge, let alone understand, why they become angry, jealous, impatient, or are scared to speak up, and this failing to understand what makes you tick is dangerous. If you don't understand yourself, you risk misjudging other people, jumping to the wrong conclusions, being too harsh about others' weaknesses. If you think you're perfect, you're likely to blame other people when things don't work out as planned. Acting like this will make you an appalling leader. Put it into action. Face your blind spots. No matter how dark, no one's asking you to share all of your weaknesses and bad habits openly. Just be honest with yourself and acknowledge your own mix of useful and unhelpful patterns and behaviors. The first step to doing this is to observe yourself with an open mind. Try keeping a written journal, and go online and take one of the many free personality tests that are available, such as MBTI and DISC. Another way is to ask your friends, family and close colleagues. Explain to them that you want to improve yourself and that they can help you understand some of your strengths and weaknesses. It's important that they're honest with their answers, so make sure that they know you want the truth, even if they fear it may upset you. If you're not sure what questions to ask, pick some from the list below. Ask yourself these questions too and note your answers in your journal. Compare your responses to those of your colleagues, family and friends. When I fail to get my way, how do I respond? What seems to make me angry, moody, or act negative? When stressed or upset, how do I tend to act and behave? What makes me jealous and envious, and how do I show it? How do I treat other people when I am in a good mood, and when in a bad mood? What do you most love and admire about me? What most annoys you about the way I am? What one habit or behavior should I change to become a better person? 3. Discover the art of self-leadership. To successfully lead others, first get your own house in order. The hardest person in the world you'll ever have to lead and manage is yourself. Washing the dishes every day is the perfect analogy for what it means to lead yourself well. It's not hard to do, but do you get it done, or do you just leave it for someone else? As a leader, it can be easier to instruct other people to do the things you don't want to do. When you're dealing with other people, you can employ all sorts of leadership styles and tools, from motivating and encouraging, through to forcing and threatening. When it's just you, All you've got is the self-talk in your own head, and your success depends on your willpower, drive and self-commitment. If you've set your alarm to get an early start on a busy day, do you spring out of bed as planned, or do you just hit snooze on repeat? Self-leadership is the first level of leadership, and if you struggle to lead yourself, it doesn't bode well for your ability to perform well at the other types of leadership shown below. You'll never successfully and consistently lead other people, lead leaders, or lead an entire organization when you can't even lead yourself. That's why now is the time to get your own house in order. Put it into action. Make a self-leadership plan. Self-leadership involves managing how you act, behave, communicate and use your time. It covers every aspect of how you speak to, instruct, criticize and work with yourself. As a minimum, you need to make sure that you remember any goals and to-do lists you set for yourself, and that you work towards achieving what you say you'll do. Maintain your healthy and good habits, while working to eliminate any unhealthy ones. Motivate yourself by trying to do things you enjoy that you'll find fulfillment in completing. Learn to say no when needed to requests from other people. Control your own emotions and how you communicate with other people. Be consistent in how you lead yourself and in how you lead others. As an example, if you want your team to be more creative, open-minded or punctual, you must also exhibit these same qualities. Be kind, compassionate and positive to yourself. You'll always have days when you make mistakes, forget to complete a task or say the wrong thing. And when this happens, don't be overcritical and beat yourself up. Find someone who will hold you accountable for working on and improving your own self-leadership abilities. Share with a close friend or trusted colleague your goals and actions for how you want to improve and ask them to observe, encourage and challenge you to stick to your plan. 4. Don't wait for the job title. True leadership doesn't start with a nice job title, corner office, company, car or exclusive club membership. If you only start being a leader when you're given a leadership job title, you'll have waited too long and missed a golden opportunity to develop and practice your skills earlier on in your life and career. The sooner you can start practicing, the sooner you can master being a leader. In the many job roles and positions you hold before becoming a formal manager, you'll have plenty of opportunities to exhibit leadership. These come in all shapes and sizes and can be found in your home, school, college and community, as well as at your workplace. Leadership happens when you tackle an issue that others in your family are avoiding, organize client meetings when your boss is on holiday, take an informal lead on a project team when there's no appointed leader, make all the arrangements for your next family vacation, organize a sports tournament for university clubs and societies. These are just a selection of ways you might lead without having formal authority, and all will give you hands-on leadership experiences. Informal leadership can even be practiced with smaller tasks, such as organizing a financial collection for a colleague or booking a team night out to unwind after completing a stressful project. Successful leaders know that practice really does make perfect and that the practice should start as early as possible through informal leadership opportunities. Without doubt, this will lead eventually towards an official supervisory or management position. Put it into action. Overcome your reluctance to lead informally. Always step forward when the opportunity to lead presents itself and you know it's appropriate for you. Being nervous and reluctant is understandable and common. Your mind will be rehearsing any number of possible reasons why it's best not to step up. Classic examples include thinking you'll be told off or ridiculed, feeling it's not your responsibility or place to act, sensing you're not capable and will fail, being concerned about seeming too keen or visible, fearing that your boss or senior colleague will be offended, worrying that your colleagues may become envious and jealous. Think objectively and honestly about any concerns you may have, by asking yourself if they're simply excuses because you feel uncomfortable about doing something for the first time or that seems out of character, or if the concern is valid and you're right to be cautious. Informal leadership gets you noticed. Act at work as if you're in a leadership assessment center, where potential new hires or high-potential staff are tested and assessed for their leadership potential and given exercises in which observers look at who takes an informal lead when no formal leadership roles are handed out. The most impressive individuals are those who understand the situation they're in and take an appropriate lead of the activity, discussion, project or task. These people will receive the highest scores and be more likely to be hired or promoted. That's exactly how you must act in your workplace. As well as getting you noticed and giving you leadership practice, it will help you decide if you actually want a formal leadership role in the future. 5. Use your influence, not authority. You know when you've influenced someone well, it's when they convince others to follow your lead. Which is most important, influence or authority? Inexperienced leaders often think that being a leader means that you no longer need to exert influence because you can get your way by using authority. That's dangerous for 2 reasons. Your own staff might appear to accept your demands, but if they're not happy and inspired, they're unlikely to be truly motivated and engaged. You're likely to be working alongside other leaders with teams of their own that you have no authority over. You can't simply instruct and order people who don't report directly to you. They don't have to listen to you, no matter how senior your job title. Your typical working day will be filled with the constant need to influence and win people over, to get their agreement, buy-in or alignment on things that are important to you. Using authority is never the way to get people to accept your plans, goals, points of view, ideas or opinions. Follow your vision. Say, do or act in a certain way. Successful leaders understand this and never rely on their job title to force their view. They understand that they have to convince and persuade through influence, to encourage people to positively carry out their requests and to believe in their ideas and directions. Quiet influence, not authority, is how to win people over to your way of thinking. Put it into action. There are a few key skills needed to master the art of influencing. Openly communicate if you want someone to do something they may not be keen on. Don't simply email them, speak to them. Explain the importance of the work and why they're being asked to do it, and acknowledge the downsides of the task. Be genuinely inspiring and visionary when asking someone to do something. It helps to show the impact of the requested task and how it fits into the bigger picture, overall plan or vision. By doing so, you'll more successfully inspire and motivate them. Be likable and empathic. It's human nature for a person to be more easily persuaded by someone they like and admire and is kind and nice. Become such a person by showing that you care by trying to understand the other person. For example, by understanding how busy they may be or why they may be reluctant to accept a task. Leading by example. It's very hard to convince someone to do, say or think something when you might be doing the opposite. The natural reaction in that situation is to think, why should I listen to you? The ideal is always to role model and emulate what you're asking other people to do. Giving and taking reciprocity is key to successful interactions. Always try to offer something in return when asking someone to do something for you. For example, if you're asking them to work over the weekend on an urgent client project, offer them a day off in lieu, providing tools and support. People will more readily be persuaded to do something when they have the necessary help and support from you. Always ensure that they have the necessary tools and resources to complete the tasks assigned to them. 6. Be visionary with purpose. We are inspired to follow leaders who have found their true north. Which leaders do you most admire? No matter whether it's your current or ex-boss, or a globally recognized figure like Barack Obama, Richard Branson or Mark Zuckerberg, chances are you're impressed by the clarity of where they're heading and with what they aspire to create. It's their vision and sense of purpose that attracts you to them. Individuals rarely write down their vision or purpose, but organizations do it all the time in the form of vision statements. You might have read some. Oxfam. A just world without poverty. Amazon. Our vision is to be Earth's most customer-centric company. To build a place where people can come to find and discover anything they might want to buy online. IKEA. To create a better everyday life for the many people. Google. To organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. TED. Spread ideas. Leadership teams create these statements to outline where that organization is heading and what they want to become. They're normally a mix of big dreams, audacious goals, aspirations and values. Successful leaders know that without clear goals you might go around in circles being pulled in different directions, which can be both demotivating and energy sapping. To avoid this, they work with their team to develop a vision statement to give themselves a clear understanding of where they're heading and of what they want to achieve. By creating a vision statement, you'll stand out because very few leaders give their teams such clarity. A 2018 Gallup survey in the US found that only 22% of employees surveyed strongly agreed with the statement that their bosses had any kind of clear direction, suggesting that 4/5 of all bosses have no idea where they're heading, or at least never think to tell their staff. Put it into action. Create your own compelling vision. Create a vision statement as if it were the opening lines of a job advert for a vacancy in your team. It should clearly explain the team's focus and what it's aiming to achieve, and it should describe what people can expect when joining your team. The wording should be compelling and exciting enough to motivate and attract people to want to work with you and never want to leave. To help you draft the ideal wording, take a blank piece of paper and write down your thoughts. Outline the vision of what you want to create and achieve with your team over the next 3, 5 or 10 years. Explain how you would like the team members to be led by you, work with you and also with each other to ensure that your vision will be realized. Keep it simple. Summarize your wording into a key phrase or slogan which you can use to sell and get buy-in to your overall vision. As an example, Boris Johnson and team did this to great effect by creating the line, "Get Brexit done," during the UK's 2019 general election. Share your overall vision with your team, asking them for their opinions and suggested edits so that you can create a final version which you're all willing to sign up to and work towards achieving. To serve as an inspirational reminder, create wallet-sized cards with the vision statement printed on and give each of your staff a copy for them to carry around or place at their workstation. You might also create vision posters which you can place throughout your office. 7. Walk the talk. Make sure everything you do is aligned. Don't think one thing, say another. While doing something else entirely, you'll quickly have no one to lead if you ask your team to act in one way while you do the opposite. It doesn't matter if it's intentional or accidental. Behaving like this destroys your credibility and the trust people have in you. No one likes working with a boss who encourages staff to be open and share, while regularly withholding information, insists that colleagues be on time for meetings, while always being late, persuades team members to support a company-wide initiative, while quietly undermining it, becomes angry when direct reports don't check their work for errors, while putting out mistakes themselves, comes down hard on someone for cheating on their travel expenses, while padding out expense claims. If it's not obvious that this is unacceptable, ask yourself how you'd feel working with someone who acted like this. No one likes a hypocrite, and although some of these might seem like minor flaws, they're often an indicator that the leader is unethical and acting without integrity in more serious ways in other areas of their work. Successful leaders always walk the talk, aligning what they preach with their own choices, behaviors and actions. Put it into action. Become a trusted role model. Start consciously role modeling the ideal behaviors and standards of excellence you'd like your team to adopt. This has to be done through leading by example, by personally demonstrating what you expect of others through your own words and actions. If you need people to be persistent, more strategic or less risk-averse, then start acting in these ways. Even if it's not easy for you, show that you're trying, and this will encourage and motivate your team to try to emulate you. Be honest when not walking your talk. There may be occasions when you have to ask other people to act in ways that are different to what you do. When that happens, be honest about it. Think through how your team will react when they realize what's happening and explain the reasons for the situation. You may not be a details person, but need your team to become more details-oriented. Tell them what you need of them and admit that you struggle to concentrate on the small print. By admitting a weakness, you show vulnerability, and the likelihood is that the team will respond by supporting you and the business goal, which remain aligned because of your openness. 8. Succeed from day one. Get the beginning right. Set the stage for what's to come. Your first few days and weeks in a new leadership role, particularly in a new organization, are critical. They will determine how successful you'll be in working with your new colleagues and team members. How you act and perform in this initial stage shapes how your working relationships form and develop. First impressions do count, and how you're seen to be settling into your new role influences other people's perceptions and expectations of you. Achieving your goals and targets. The insights and knowledge you gain early on will determine how well you get a handle on your role and what it involves. Getting it right enables you to do the right things well. Successfully transitioning into any new leadership role involves being thoughtful and not jumping into any new tasks and interactions without due care and attention. If you do, you risk making simple mistakes, underperforming and even falling out with people. At first, just listen. Don't speak too much or share lots of opinions about how things could be improved and how they were better in your last company. Give people a chance. Don't rush to make judgments on an individual's performance without fully appreciating all the context and recent history. Adjust to fit. Observe the norms of your new organization's working culture and alter your behavior accordingly. Soak it up. You don't need to create an instant impression by agreeing with everyone and saying yes every time you're asked to do something. Take time to appreciate the intricacies of the issues, of your role and of what you're actually agreeing to. Successful leaders know the importance of pausing and reflecting to minimize misunderstandings about what is happening around them. Put it into action. Take a structured approach to onboarding, or the process of starting in a new role in a new organization, should be treated like a complex project that requires your full attention and careful planning. Put aside all your past experiences and assumptions and be open-minded enough to recognize that you don't know everything on day one. Calmly listen to, observe and learn from your new colleagues and team members, appreciating how their behaviors, mindset and ways of working are different to your previous colleagues, and be open to doing things differently to how you have in the past. Keep a journal of your notes and observations to help you record and reflect on any differences and similarities you observe, compared to your last role, especially around how colleagues communicate together and share opinions and ideas. Colleagues thank and criticize each other, conflict arises and is dealt with, workspaces and offices are used and what is visible, goals. Key performance indicators and other tasks are shared, delegated and achieved. Colleagues motivate, inspire, support and challenge each other. Colleagues request help and resources. Budgets, forecasts and plans are created, agreed upon, implemented and monitored. Good and poor behavior and performance is recognized, rewarded and dealt with. New colleagues such as yourself are acknowledged, welcomed and helped to succeed. 9. It's not a popularity contest. If you want to be the most popular person in the room, sign up for a beauty pageant. As a leader, you have to be ready to communicate all kinds of difficult messages, often in the space of one day. Leadership is definitely not a popularity contest. You need a thick skin to make the tough calls, which sometimes may appear very ruthless and out of character. Informing an eager team member that they're not being considered for a promotion, sharing with your team that they've not won a new high-profile project they wanted to work on, informing a colleague that a candidate they're keen to hire into their team didn't impress you when you interviewed her, expressing your frustrations at your team's lack of progress, denying a colleague their request for holiday leave because too many other colleagues in the same team will be out of the office in that same period, telling a team member that they will be fired if they do not immediately stop speaking badly about your strategic plan, giving a colleague an ultimatum to either accept and flow with your vision for the company, or to resign. Of course, you'll get your share of positive news to share too, but it's the way you handle the bad that defines your leadership ability. Successful leaders know that difficult messages have to be communicated without any delay. To do anything else is to give people the wrong picture, false hope and incorrect expectations that will have a negative impact on motivation and productivity. When you have bad news, communicate your message as professionally as possible and be ready to manage the reactions of those you're speaking to, who may be shocked, upset, sad, confused or even angry. Very few leaders do this well. Put it into action. Don't put off what you can do today. Never avoid sharing negative messages for fear of causing upset or to avoid being unpopular and getting into a confrontation. There's nothing to be gained from putting off sharing bad news, delaying a feedback session or sending a challenging email. You're not doing anybody any favors by delaying, and the sooner people know the hard truth, the sooner they can start processing it, dealing with their reactions and, hopefully, planning how they learn, adapt and positively move on. Plan communication well. Good news is easy, but when you're giving someone bad news or critical feedback, it's especially important to plan your message well. Take your time to plan out the conversation or draft the email. Pause and reflect once you've prepared everything and reread your draft or ask a trusted colleague to sense-check your communication plan. The secret is to have a clearly stated and to-the-point message which is not too harsh and undiplomatic. No matter whether you're turning down a request or giving a colleague constructive feedback, always aim to clearly explain the facts, along with your observations and opinions. Whenever possible, try to give the message in person and in private. If you can't meet them in person, try meeting by video conference, so that you can see each other. It's best that emails, letters and phones are only used as follow-up communications. Have a thick skin. Don't take the reaction to bad news personally, no matter how angry or upset the other person becomes. Show empathy and sympathy, telling them that it's okay to be upset or confused. Give them time to process what you have told them. 10. Listen well. Switch off all those distractions swirling around your head and really listen, and think about what you want to say. It's really obvious when someone's not listening to you. You may not quite know how you know, unless they're looking at their phone while you're speaking or talking over you, but you'll know. These are the telltale signs. They never clarify anything you've said. They don't ask any follow-up questions. They cut you off or change the subject. It's frustrating when it happens, and it's normal to find this kind of behavior demotivating and demoralizing, as we all value being heard and we appreciate other people listening to what we are trying to say. Successful leaders know that listening well helps people feel and perform better. This is borne out in a study of leaders' listening skills involving 3,492 managers, summarized in the Harvard Business Review. It found that the top 5% of leaders in terms of listening skills stood out through creating conversations that were healthy two-way discussions involving helpful questioning, with little defensiveness shown when their comments and ideas were challenged, leaving those they listened to feeling more positive and with higher self-esteem, making those being listened to more open to hearing suggestions in response to what they were saying. Put it into action. Show that you're actively listening. Aim to always fall into the top 5% for your listening skills. You can achieve this by doing the following when someone's talking to you. Stop everything else you're doing and give the person in front of you all of your attention. If you're unable to do this, plan another time when the two of you are both free to have the conversation. Talk together in a location that's calm and free of noise, distractions and interruptions, and put away your phones and computers. If you have limited time, say so, and set a duration for the discussion, offering to continue the conversation later as needed. Demonstrate that you're present and listening. Ring operator: look at the other person and use engaged body language such as nodding, smiling and maintaining eye contact. Ring operator: say things that demonstrate you're really present, such as, "I hear you," "sounds challenging," or "am not easy." Ring operator: summarize or paraphrase what you've heard, and if necessary ask questions to clarify your understanding. Do people want to talk to you? Having good listening skills isn't enough. You need to be approachable too, so that people actually want to open up to you. Make sure that you're someone people are happy to talk to by eliminating distancing habits and behaviors, such as leaving your door closed, always acting busy, cutting people off mid-sentence, ignoring what they're saying, or jumping to conclusions before they've finished speaking. If you're not sure how good a listener you are, just ask your team. 11. Demand excellence. Leadership is all about doing the right things and doing them right. You must make sure that your team or organization is doing the right tasks, and that those tasks are all being done really well. This is a hard balance to achieve. The awful truth is that most leaders and their teams do some important tasks badly, while also focusing on completing unimportant or unnecessary tasks. I compare this to the simple metaphor of digging a hole in the ground. There's no point in digging a hole really well if it's in the wrong place. Or, of course, digging a poor quality hole in the perfect location. In the workplace, these two types of mistakes are far too common. For example, a team member spends hours creating a perfectly crafted spreadsheet or written report, only to discover that he had misunderstood the question or problem to be solved. You present a solution to a client in a very professional manner, only to hear that the client had asked for information about a totally different product. A key member of your team is given a great opportunity to present work to your global management team, but prepares badly and performs worse. You'll never achieve excellent results if you or your team misplace and waste your energy, focus, time and resources in this way on the wrong tasks and/or complete essential tasks in a shoddy and poor quality manner. Put it into action, challenge and support your team to achieve excellence. Excellence is doing the right things well all the time. To achieve this, make sure that each of your team has the right guidance and tools in each of 6 areas, collectively known as Gilbert's 6 boxes.